What you gonna do, brother, when Jeff Townsend Media runs wild on you?
Luke, can you hear me, man?
Oh, yeah.
It's time for another recording. This is crazy. It seems like we just recorded, man.
It does. It's been a quick week.
It's been a quick week. Every week's a quick week. So I got mad today and I kicked a trash can and I broke my toe. It's done for. You know, the toe is broken. So that's how my week started off this week. I've got a broken toe. I'm all sassy about it, damn it. How are you doing, man?
Good. That reminds me of when my nephew punched a dumpster and broke his hand.
Oh, yes, the old dumpster. That will do that every time.
Yeah.
We have people joining us from all around social media. This is Your Scary Stories, the show where we share your scary stories live, of course, streaming on 8 different platforms. Like I said, we have people on here from everywhere, it looks like. What do we see? We've got somebody saying, let's go. Got the lights dim and my blankets. Time to get scary. That trash can got taught a lesson. Yes, it did. I'm sure. That dumpster. You got to teach a dumpster a lesson sometimes. Man, so I have 2 stories tonight, and I'm going to share a video that I found. And you actually have 3 stories, so I'm super excited to get into this.
Yeah.
Of course, we want to hear what you think. Comment along, join us as we share these stories. Of course, if you have any scary stories, please submit them. Go to yourscarystories.com and submit them there. We're also on Facebook. That's the Facebook page is Your Scary Stories, right?
Yes. And then the Reddit page is Share Your Scary Stories. And then we have your Scary Stories Discord as well.
Oh, Discord. And of course, you can always find all the content wherever I am at Podcast Father Jeff Townsend. Luke, every episode so far, every week, I have kicked off the recording the stream with the first story, and you have been tasked with the tall, big responsibility of sharing the first story tonight. Can you handle this?
Yep. That's why I got the whiskey so that I can calm the nerves.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that AI. Some social media AI is real sensitive, you know.
Oh yeah.
So, man, it's your turn. What do you got for us tonight? I'm going to cue up the music. Hold on. Let's get the music going. We can't forget the music. That's the most important part. It's loading up here. What's the title of this one?
That's Not Me.
Okay. Sounds like an Amanda Bynes show. You hear the music?
Oh
Wait, give it a second. I think when we first turn it on, it gets all funky.
yeah. Our recording gets a little weird for a second, but I think we're good now.
Yep, I'll let you hit the. Let you share the title again and pick it up.
The title is That's Not Me. My dad and I were camping for the weekend because it was the perfect weather for camping. We headed out to a forest we knew. It was very nice, had a beautiful river, and good spots to camp in, and we were the only ones who ever camped in those woods. As expected, we set up our campsite, and we did all the stuff you would do when you would go camping. Then we went to bed. I woke up at around 1 a.m. to go to the bathroom. As I was going to the bathroom, my father was still asleep, so after I finished up my business, I came back to the campsite and checked out. My father opened his tent up, and to my surprise, he wasn't there. I thought maybe he went to the bathroom as well. But when I left, he looked deep asleep. There's no way he would go to the bathroom at the same time. I would randomly, or maybe he did it and I brushed it off. Like, it was all crazy. It didn't make any sense to me. I went back inside my tent back to bed. I woke up in the morning and checked on my dad. Before I could check his tent, I heard someone whisper, "That's not me." Then I looked behind me, and my father was behind a tree, looking pale. I ran over to him as he said, "We gotta get out of here." "Why?" I said. "Tell you when we get in the car." So we packed our stuff, and we left the tents, which I found strange. Someone was still in my dad's tent. Dad explained what had happened. "I had to leave you alone last night for a bit. I forgot some stuff that we needed and I went to the store. I feel terrible for leaving you, but I figured I'd be back before you knew it. When I came back, I saw someone enter my tent. I stayed up all night behind a tree to make sure the person stayed in there. At this point, I realized that person sleeping wasn't him. The realization struck me so hard I was paranoid as hell after hearing that. So I waited all night to tell you so we could get out of the woods before they noticed." That's what my dad said. After that, we never went camping ever again.
Wow.
That was a shorter one than I normally do. And when I read it, though, I was like, wow, two things. One, that's scary as hell. And two, that dad's kind of a dipshit.
Somebody said, "What the hell? They left their kid."
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
So it took me a second to like connect it. So what happened was he woke up, he saw somebody that actually wasn't his dad.
Yeah, woke up when he was on his way to the bathroom, saw someone in there, and went on his way. When he came back, the person was gone for a little bit, and then he got back into the bed and woke up the next morning and noticed that he was going to go wake up his dad.
Someone said that Chad Michael said that would be horrible. Homeless guy was like, "Someone bought me a tent." Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like whoever it was that went in the tent was like trying to be secretive about it. I mean, really,
Wouldn't lay down in that tent.
to the point where I guess that guy thought it was his dad, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so how old did he say he was?
He did not say his age, but I get the feeling that this was a younger person just by the way it was written.
Yeah.
So I would say probably teenager, early teenager, probably 14. Just going by the syntax.
Maybe somebody, yeah, people are talking. Maybe somebody stole his spot. Maybe that tent was in his spot or the homeless guy's spot. We don't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy though. So who does that? Like, I'm just gonna go get stuff. You can't even go get stuff in the middle of the night these days, hardly. Who knows how
Yeah,
old this
well,
is,
I'm
though?
guessing this was a few years back because it was an older story when I checked it out. It's a 3-year-old story. So, like, you're talking possibly back when Walmart was still 24 hours in a lot of places, you know?
Wanna go get some Slim Jims or like, I mean, what the heck, you know?
Yeah, clearly this dad is a little bit of, like I said, a dipshit.
Oh, man, we will have another story later tonight that I share that has Dad of the Year potential too.
Oh,
But it
fantastic.
sounds like this guy's up for it.
He is definitely.
So
Uh,
what should he have done different, Luke, if you had to say?
Which person? The dad?
Yeah.
Well, I would have been like, hey, get the hell out of my tent. You know, you raise a ruckus if you see someone going into your tent. But the first step is, though, you don't leave your kid in the woods at night.
Yeah.
If you know the area. That's psychotic behavior.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, we don't know everything, but I would definitely question this guy's parenting abilities.
Luke, you're brilliant.
Captain Hindsight, the hero of the modern age.
Captain Hindsight, thank God you've come.
They should have built fire escapes on those windows for the higher floors, then people could have gotten down. Well, looks like my job here is done. Goodbye, everyone!
Thank you, Captain Hindsight. Thank you.
I love that clip.
It's true though. It's something so simple, but yeah, who leaves their kid out there in the woods? That's crazy.
So weird.
It could have went much worse. We actually don't even know what all happened though, I guess. I mean, he could have stole their stuff. They left a bunch of their stuff there, right?
They left their tents for sure.
That's crazy. Who does that? See the comments. What a perfect clip, somebody said. Yep. Somebody mentioned carrying a weapon. You know, when Slim Jims call, you got to go. Yeah, I mean, maybe he just went to the gas station. We don't know.
I could go for a Slim Jim right now.
You step into one, brother, because I got a story for you that's going to rock your world, man. So
I'm ready.
This is a little bit different than what I normally would share. Normally, we like to share like weird things, like even what you did was a little bit different, but scary things that happen to people, like maybe a ghost or a paranormal thing or an intruder in their house. So I have a little bit different approach to this. I found this story. It's like it's a 100% true story, documented story. This guy's like a legend around the scene for this. His name is Gene Moe. It surrounds a bear attack.
Oh boy.
And this actually, I found this. I was watching these chimp attack videos for some reason over the weekend, which are terrible, right?
Yeah.
So in this episode, it shared this, and I was like, "What the heck?" So then I started researching. I'm like, "Dude, Gene Moe is a legend." So I'm going to cue up the music here, and I will tell you Gene Moe's story.
Alrighty.
Can you hear it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Does that sound all right? All right. Like I said, this is a true story based on a guy named Gene Moe. It's a bear attack. Kodiak Island sits on the severe but beautiful south coast of Alaska, USA. Crisscrossed with some sparkling rivers and ice-cold bays, the island is famous for its salmon, which in the summer months bring fishermen from all around the world. But this place is also famous for another reason. The northern half of the island is carpeted with dense mountainous forest and populated with forest bears, but not just any bear, the Kodiak bear. The Kodiak bear is the biggest carnivore in the world, on average slightly larger than the polar bear. Kodiak bears belong to the brown bear family, which is common throughout Alaska and North America. But it's their distinctive diet that makes them so massive. A whole bunch of salmon. These mighty animals are lucky enough to have their own high-protein superfood right at their doorstep. This allows them to get extra huge, and they are basically bodybuilders of the animal world. In peak season, the adult males can weigh as much as 1,400 pounds, and they stand nearly 10 feet high when on two legs. That's roughly as heavy as a grand piano and half as tall as a giraffe. Not something you'd want to get into a tussle with, but that's exactly what happened to veteran hunter Gene Moe on November 1st, 1999. Gene had been hunting along the ridge of the Kodiak Woods just as he'd done for many years. He'd seen plenty of bears before and even had some frightening encounters, but nothing had prepared him for the epic battle he was about to have with the biggest man-eater on the planet. As he made his way through the forest, he noticed several deep gouges along the barks of trees. These gouges are so big one might think they'd been made by a chainsaw, not an animal. However, Gene knew this was a bear's way of marking his territory and made sure to get as far away from this as quickly as possible. But it wasn't that simple. Gene had just spent all day stalking deer at the trail hook, and it took him around in a wide circle that when he eventually caught up with his prey, he was put right back in the beast's territory. Unfortunately, by that point, he was too caught up in the hunt to notice. This was his first big mistake. The sky was growing dark, but he was able to hunt down the deer. It was a long, hard day of hunting. He leaned his rifle against the log and started skinning the deer next to the stream. This was his second big mistake because the scent of the blood and gore went into the summer evening breeze. It wasn't long before that scent reached the sharp nostrils of a nearby Kodiak bear. That's the thing about bears, some of the best hunters in the food chain, but they will be just as happy to steal someone else's lunch. Gene was about to go from hunter to hunted. One minute he was bent over trimming the deer, the next he heard a sound that would stay with him the rest of his life. A roar so loud it shook the trees nearby. The bear came out of the forest with a force of a steam train, knocking Gene hard to the ground. It began clawing at his throat and eyes with vicious, sharp claws. He was engulfed in the bear's massive bulk. Its fur filled his mouth and eyes. He was completely disoriented. He couldn't see. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't even scream. Luckily, he still had his knife with him, and he jabbed again and again into the creature's thick hide. But to no avail. The bear got a hold of his arm and jaws and crunched down. The pain was all-encompassing, but somehow he had the presence of mind to keep jabbing and kicking the animal. Gene was wearing big, heavy mountain boots, and they probably saved his life because he was able to kick the half-ton creature off him. He got up fast and looked. Now the sensation of being able to see and breathe overwhelmed him more than the pain was. But just for a moment, he wondered if he had died. But this thought did not last long. His heart sank when he looked over and he saw his gun was still leaning against the log where he'd left it because it was too far away. He'd never reach it before the bear was on top of him again. If the bear got him on the ground again, he knew he wouldn't be getting back up ever again. So he turned away from his weapon and instead started jabbing his other weapon into the creature's neck. But the muscles of the bear's neck were too thick. They were like tree roots, and he only managed to get gashes. The blood was spilling onto the moss. The massive bear lunged at Gene with all his might. Again, Gene was lucky. Like a prize bullfighter, he stepped aside on the very last second, the very last moment, and the bear missed him by centimeters. Taking advantage of this moment, he jabbed the sharp blade down as deep as the bear's back, where he knew where the vertebrae was. The blade went in, and the bear let out a crazy roar. Obviously badly wounded, the bear moved away, circling around him. Gene didn't dare to move. He wiped the blood from his eyes as he realized he only had one good arm. His other arm had been crushed useless. He could start to feel the pain kick in. He was in severe agony, and he had lashes all across his body. He knew if that bear came back for another attack, he would most certainly die. He looked into the bear's eyes. Just that moment, the bear came in. It was moving slowly this time. The bear jumped forward. Gene acted without thinking, dropping his knife. Instead, he took his good arm back up into a wide arc, and he brought it down with all the strength he had left in his body. His fist hit the bear in the nose so hard it broke several bones in his hand. But the bear went down. It bounced once, then its enormous head came to rest on a patch of moss. He wondered if it was even still alive. He hobbled over to grab his rifle. He meant to end the beast, but his hands were just too his hands were just too weak, covered in blood and numb. They hurt so bad he couldn't even use it. Fortunately, the animal was already dead, but Gene's incredible story does not end there. He knew he was losing a lot of blood and needed to get off the island and get to a hospital as quickly as possible. He had to find the strength to get down the beach where his friend had a boat. The trip was anything but easy. Coming down off that mountain was the hardest thing he'd ever done. 3 or 4 times, Gene collapsed to the ground into the moss, but every time he found the strength to get back up and continue. Eventually, he reached the shore. His friend helped him get to a nearby cabin where they were able to call for help. It took Gene a month, rehab, 2 skin grafts, and over 550 stitches, but he made a full recovery. But in the end, he came out better than the bear, which was later recovered. Till this day, Gene Moe has that bear hanging on his wall.
Holy crap.
I told you, dude. Legend, isn't he?
Oh, wow.
Yep. Everybody doesn't believe he ended it. Yes, he did. This is a true story. Yep. Massive, huge bear, and he did survive. Yes, he was able to defeat the bear.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I have to go back and look. I think he was an older fellow when he accomplished this too. He wasn't a spring chicken exactly. Massive bear.
Yeah, I mean, Kodiak bears are ridiculous. Like, I remember seeing one when I was a kid at like a children's museum exhibit. Like, they had like a stuffed one. It was nuts.
I think this is an amazing story, and it's not like a typical story we'd share, but for me, it was terrifying as I was reading it. I probably didn't do as good a job as reading it as it lived up in my head, but I thought, man, like, this is absolutely insane. Can you imagine how terrifying this would be?
Oh, bears are monsters. Like,
We talk about like crazy ghosts and goblins and whatever else we talk about, but the fact of the matter is, like, the out there in the woods, that's like the most deadly thing to worry about.
There's a reason why all of our old stories of things in the woods that will kill you exist. And it's because of freaking Kodiak bears.
See, I wasn't as familiar until I started my research here that Kodiak bears are actually bigger than polar bears.
Yeah.
It's that salmon, dude. They just live off that salmon. So,
I mean, they're monsters. Like, they're huge. And so, like, yeah, to fight one in close combat, and he punched it to death? Is that what he did there?
I think, I don't know if he punched it to death, but I think it was like the final blow.
Like, it hit its head on that rock afterwards.
Or something. But he also had all the multiple jabs that he got in there.
Still, like, the final thing is him punching it.
Yeah, online you can actually. I should have saved this picture. It's the bear.
Was it
on
like
his
12
wall.
feet tall?
It's a huge bear, but it's on his wall.
Oh, Lord. That is crazy.
Yeah. What would you say to Gene Moe right now if you could?
I would get his autograph.
Yeah, when I heard this story, I was like, I got to share this on the show.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's not exactly scary, but put yourself in his shoes, though.
I mean, it's terrifying, really, if you think about it. It's
Yeah.
a real thing that you can run into for sure. There's no debate.
Oh, yeah. And like I said earlier, he couldn't do it again if he tried, right? Like, what would be the likelihood he could succeed at defending off this bear again in this scenario? Like, obviously, he would be more prepared next time, but let's just say he goes back to the same scenario again.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood he would survive, you think?
It's next to nothing. That's
Yeah.
what it is for everyone. Literally everyone on the planet in that same situation is next to nothing to survive.
Like, everything had to line up perfect for this.
Yeah.
Gene Moe. I call him Gene Legend.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good name for him. Gene Legend. Wow.
I just thought it was crazy the detail. Like, his hand was completely smashed.
Yeah. And he
Like,
is,
just, and the article had a
He-
bunch more details, but his arm was smashed in his hand.
and he's bleeding to death at this point, slowly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that is crazy.
There are various stories about this. Some were even longer form. So I tried to get something like in the middle
Right.
and sum it up in a way that was good. Yeah. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that one. That was a fun one for me.
I would like to watch a movie about that guy.
Gene Moe. Note that down, everybody listening. Gene Moe. Wow. Yeah, thanks for listening live out there. We've got people commenting all across social media. Let us know what you thought of that. Salmon, good protein. Yes, they are. Somebody said he wouldn't have had a scratch if he fought the bear. No, I don't know.
Don't believe that.
Gene Moe. Okay, so it's actually Gene. They spelled it like Gene, like J, like a female version.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the male version. Yep. Gene Moe. He is a legend, and it's MOE. If you're out there, if you're wondering, Luke, sir, you're up next.
Yeah.
Hit the music for you. We'll see what you got.
All right. Music's coming in. This story is called Skinwalker Sighting. I've always been a skeptic. Ghosts, aliens, monsters, they're all just stories to me. But after what I experienced in the Southwest, my perspective on the unknown has been forever altered. I was on a road trip with my best friend Jake. We had decided to take a detour through the Navajo Reservation in Arizona, mainly because of the scenic beauty and the rich history of the area. We had heard tales of skinwalkers, but we laughed them off. They were myths, right? Our first day on the reservation was uneventful. We visited a few local spots, interacted with some of the locals, and set up camp near a canyon. As night fell, we sat around our campfire sharing stories and enjoying the serenity of the desert. Around midnight, Jake decided to turn in. I stayed up, mesmerized by the stars. The Milky Way stretched across the sky, and I felt a profound sense of peace. That is, until I heard it. A low, guttural growl echoed through the canyon. I froze, thinking it might be a coyote or a mountain lion. But then I heard a voice. It was distorted as if someone was speaking through a broken radio, but it was unmistakably Jake's voice. "Come here," it beckoned. Confused, I turned to our tent. Jake was sound asleep. The voice called out again. This time from the opposite direction. I grabbed a flashlight and shone it towards the source. What I saw will haunt me forever. Standing on a ridge was a figure. It looked like a man, but its limbs were elongated, and its eyes glowed a sickly yellow. It wore tattered clothing, and its skin was mottled gray. But the most disturbing part was its face. It was Jake's face. I stumbled back, my heart racing. The creature mimicked Jake's voice again. "Come here." It took a step towards me. Its movements jerky and unnatural. I bolted to the tent, shaking Jake awake. "We need to go now," I hissed. He looked at me, confused, but the urgency in my voice spurred him into action. We backed up as quickly as we could. The creature's voice echoing around us, mimicking our voices, our laughter, our conversations from earlier. As we sped away in our car, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Creature stood in the middle of the road watching us, its yellow eyes glowing in the darkness. We didn't stop driving until we reached the nearest town. We checked into a motel, and I spent the night researching skinwalkers. Legends say they were witches who take the form of animals or people, using their voices to lure victims. I don't know what we encountered that night, but I do know one thing. Some stories are real. The Southwest is beautiful, but it holds secrets that are beyond comprehension. I'll never set foot on that reservation again. To all of you reading this, please be careful when you venture into unknown territories. Some legends are rooted in truth, and some nightmares are very, very real.
Why was it doing what? Somebody's asking, why is it doing that? Why is it doing what? Oh, so yeah, it reminded me of Fallout. Hey, smooth skin. You know, I'm talking about New Vegas.
Yeah, the ghouls.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. You're like, I think it could be your companion. But he always called you Smooth Skin.
Yeah.
That's terrifying, though. So I actually don't. I'm not really familiar with these kind of stories, Skinwalker. It's actually the first one I've really heard of.
I am very familiar with Skinwalker stories. I read a lot of them. They're almost all identical, like similar story. And the Navajo very much believed in them. And
They
so
always mimic people. Like, what the hell was he doing?
Yes, they would mimic people, or they mimic animals, like a dingo, or not dingo, a coyote, or some other wild dog. And then, but yes, they would take the form of people, and they would call out in the night, trying to call you out there to go visit them. And then, if you went out there, chances are you would be killed.
Tell me more about the Skinwalkers if I'm not familiar. You said witch? Legend has it?
Yes, a witch. They would, or a tribe of witches of some sort. Or some people would describe them as not even like humans, so it's hard to call them witches. But they practice an old magic. They are able to take the form of other people and things. Whether the question of whether or not they're true, or whether they exist, that's one thing. But I will say that they are very much believed in by the Native Americans in the area. This is not something that they talk about like to fool like tourists. This is something they very much believe in, and they are very much afraid of.
He didn't seem very confrontational, though, in this instance.
So they gotta get you to come to them. That's the only thing I've ever heard that's like across all the stories. They want you to come to them, and then they'll catch you.
Then that's why you say, "Come here, come here. I have some candy."
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Well, just to recap, though, so what his friend was asleep, right? So he knew it absolutely was not his friend, but
yes, he was asleep, and he could hear was like a distorted version of his friend's voice from across the campsite.
Did it look like his friend at all?
The face resembled his friend, but the body was elongated limbs and had yellow eyes, and very gray mottled skin, almost like leather. What I've heard other people describe it as.
People are got some questions popping up here. Why would they need you to come to them? One person asked.
There are a couple different reasons that I've read in different stories from Native Americans talking about this. And some say that it is for food, and some is for turning you into a skinwalker as well.
How does one get turned into a skinwalker?
I don't know for sure, but I believe it is something similar, like a ritual that they perform, a magical ritual, from the couple of scattered stories that I've read.
Maggie, hey Maggie, she's asking, or she says actually more or less a statement, they can change forms?
Yes, they can change forms. It's different people and different animals.
So like if I want to be like a raccoon skinwalker, I'm just like,
yeah, they can totally morph their bone structure and everything and kind of form into, they're always a little bit off. So like slightly longer legs. So like you see a raccoon with like 2 foot long legs. That's a skinwalker.
What about a Kodiak bear?
Kodiak bear is a nightmare enough on its own. Doesn't need to be a skinwalker.
I'm curious. We'll have to talk more about the skinwalkers one day. I'm really
intrigued. I've got a couple saved for another night.
You just act like you pushed up your glasses. Like you
no, I was scratching the side of the nose.
I thought you were just like
the anime guy pushing up the
glasses. Jack would be proud. So little Emery out there if he ever listens. That was a cool story, dude. I can't wait to hear more stories about that. That's terrifying. Is there a certain? Let me ask this.
Yeah.
Someone said a Kodiak bear with 4-inch legs. It's just rolling, I guess. I don't know.
That would be even more terrifying. I don't know why, but that just sounds horrible, right?
He said it shook the trees around him. I can't get over that. Okay, so my question for you about the skinwalkers. Is there a certain area where they're more around, historically speaking? Is it in this area they're talking about?
Yeah, the Southwest United States is a big hotbed.
Skinwalker hotbed.
Yeah, Western and Southwest, and particularly Navajo reservations and stuff like that is where they're really concentrated around. And yeah, they there's a couple stories. I read one from Utah that we'll probably talk about in another episode. That was a pretty spooky story involving a skinwalker, and yeah, they're just it's one of those things that's like that can't be real, right? But then you have like hundreds of years of people talking about them, and they all follow the same patterns.
Yeah.
It's specifically the yellow eyes.
That's what it stood out to me. You can't talk about the yellow eyes.
Yeah.
I just hope they talk like the ghoul. You actually did a pretty good impersonation of the ghoul, too, when you were doing that story.
Yeah.
You should have said smooth skin, though. That would have been better.
Hey, smooth skin, listen, you got to go there and get those Nuka-Colas.
Yeah. I hope somebody screen recorded that. Oh, that made my day. Oh, that was an awesome story, though. I actually really enjoyed that one. Okay, so just to change things up here, moving on, do something a little bit different. So at this point, we're going to take the time to share a video that I found. So this is an interesting story here. So there's an amusement park in Santa Cruz, I believe it was, Mexico. Am I saying that right here? Here, let me pull it up real quick. I might have it on my phone.
Santa Cruz, Mexico. New Mexico. Sounds right.
Let's see here. Veracruz. So Veracruz in the 80s opened up this amusement park. Basically, it was like a mimic of Disneyland. It was their Disneyland. It had a very short run, though. It was like only a couple years because there's a lot of accidents and stuff like that. They just basically packed up a lot of the rides and valuables when they shut down, and they left a bunch of stuff. Most notably, and what makes this story and what makes the area kind of like known to be a haunting are the statues that they left behind. So they left behind these creepy Disney statues, right? People report seeing them move, blink, a bunch of weird stuff like that. So this story, and legend has it that there used to be a grave site there that was built on. You know, I didn't get that deep into the research, but this video is out there. I cited, and when I put the video, I cited the social media handle of the guy that shared this with the world. Gone pretty viral. So in this particular video I'm about to pull up here, the gentleman is going to, knowing that it's haunted, obviously, going there to visit the area with his friend at night, which is a typical thing there where people will kind of break into there and go into there. It's patrolled and stuff to try to avoid it. But I'll get the video presented here. Let me see.
All right.
So, yeah, this is what it looks like in modern time now. Oh, it's some past footage of it, but these creepy statues are everywhere, all around the amusement park. People report weird things like the swings moving when there's no wind. Again, people are always filming these statues. This is the one right here. Snow White's the creepiest. So I'll pause this. So this is Alan Mora 08. I give his credit to him. They are about to see something in the distance, and what they originally think, Luke, and I'll let it play out from here. They think they have been caught by the police or like the security guard of the area. This is obviously in Spanish, so you're not going to be able to make out. But what's happening here is they're trying to figure out what they're seeing, and at first they're pretty certain they're about to get caught for being here.
Hey, aguanta, espérate, hey. Shh, no te muevas. No mames, no te muevas ahí. Güey.
¿Velador?
Ese no es el velador, güey.
Güey, no es el velador.
No.
Yo también pensaba que era el velador.
No, aguanta. Deja que mi cámara enfoque bien, Deja que mi cámara enfoque bien, güey. Eso no es el velador. No digas perras mamadas, güey.
I fast forward it here significantly, like 8 times. It'll jump back up when they get caught up there.
Buenas, velador. No mames. Esta madre no pudo haber salido. Está con reja. Güey. No digas mamadas, güey. No digas mamadas, Joe. Miren. No digas mamadas, güey. No, Joe. No. No, güey, no mames.
¿Qué fue eso, güey?
No sé.
No mames, güey. No mames.
¿Crees que haya sido ella?
Güey, nos estamos metiendo más adentro del reino mágico. Banda, comparte.
No mames, güey, no mames.
Replay here. You start to see. Notice how this thing moves. It's gliding.
What the hell?
It's gliding. It's not even normal strut. They walk up, which no cut to the video. They run up. I fast forwarded it. And this is what they see when they get there. Now, this particular Snow White is really terrified a lot of people. They say they see her move. They see her do a lot of stuff. Someone's saying, get out of there. The gliding part here. God, I've got to show this again here. Let's watch that part again. This one gets me like, watch again, everybody watching, how this thing glides. Like, look at its leg area. Obviously, it's wearing a dress, or it appears to be a dress.
Yeah, there's no stride. It maintains a shape the whole time. That it's like the same outline.
No stride at all.
That is crazy.
Yeah, obviously this video's got pretty popular after this. Kind of went viral.
I bet.
But when this happens, of course, a lot of people are sharing their scary stories with these statues. There's a bunch of different clips and stuff up there of the Snow White moving. This is by far the most damning evidence of a haunting. But yeah, this is pretty well-known thing in this abandoned amusement park. Your thoughts?
That was crazy. When they first show it, like in that video, and it's like way in the distance, and you're not 100% certain what it is.
It kind of looks like, not to cut you off, before they zoom in, it kind of does look like a security jacket, like a yellow security jacket.
Yeah, because
and that's what they're saying when they're conversing.
Because it's like a yellow dress on that thing, yellowish dress, right? And so, you don't know what it is at first, but then when they zoom in and everything, you get a good look at it in the video. It'd be hard pressed for them to see it as anything but like another person, right?
Right. What he's saying is focus. He's telling his camera to focus on his phone. So he's actually trying to hold his phone up to see further too.
Yeah.
He's not able to actually see it that great either.
Yeah. And so obviously you wouldn't assume that, but looking at it with, the ability to really study it like we can. Yeah, that's fucking terrifying.
There were some nooks and crannies once they ran up there, but no definite way to get away besides kind of the back of the area that it came. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That's really creepy. I would like to go there real bad.
Someone says they'd give up ghost hunting immediately. Streetlight screwed up the focus. Yeah, for sure. Definitely doesn't seem to be like the most high-end camera either.
No,
but
even
I think it was further than you thought, because when I fast forwarded that thing, they were running up. He was running up there for a while. He was gassed.
That seemed like almost a football field's worth of distance that they traveled.
Yeah, and the fact that this thing moves all around the park is crazy too. Like, there's pictures of this thing everywhere, and it's heavy.
Yeah, I imagine so. It looks like it's made of some sort of something. I don't know.
Concrete. Yeah, it's stone something. Yeah, or I don't know actually, but it's not apparently easy to move around either. Yeah, a bunch of stuff out there about this Snow White. I knew she was evil, damn it. I knew it all along.
Yep. That's creepy.
It was creepy. Let us know what you thought. Did you like the quick break in action to share the video? Something new we're trying here. I guess it kind of made up for me only having really 2 stories. So I'll take it. But it's something that'll make you think, though. The way it just glided across the ground terrified me.
Yeah.
Luke, you've got one more story tonight.
I do.
I'm going to cue that music, and this is the big one. You haven't really told me what it is, but this is the one I know that you're proud of. I can see the look on your face. So
can you hear me now?
Yep, it smoothed out. You're good now. Yep.
All right. This one is called The Dog. This is from a trucker. She was been doing this for a very short period of time at this point, just a few months. And she shared a few of her stories from her exploits at night. All right. When I first took this job to be a over-the-road trucker, I thought it'd be really exciting. I thought I'd get to travel the country and see the sights and come home with stories to tell my friends and family. I was right. This job is exciting, but I soon found that I'm better off not sharing these stories with anyone close to me. Not because I don't trust them, because I'm worried they wouldn't believe me. Let me back up. My name is Brittany. I'm 22 years old, and I've been driving with a rather large company for a few months now. I won't name the company due to obvious reasons. Ever since my training ended and I got my own truck to start solo, I've seen some pretty weird stuff. When you're driving the loneliest road in America, and yes, that's its real name, in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, things can start to get to you. I suppose it was only a matter of time before I saw something out in the desert at nearly midnight. I still had another hour to the nearest truck stop, and blasting the freezing cold air against my face was all I could do to keep myself from dozing off at the wheel. Irresponsible, I know, but until you work this job, you don't understand how much lax comes with it. I was driving this highway in the desert, in the pitch blackness of a cold summer night, when suddenly something runs out in the road in front of me. Before I can even react, it's gone across the other side into the bushes. I barely get a good look at it, but I could have sworn it looked like a large white dog. Faster than any dog I've ever seen. I tried to ignore it and keep driving. I see animals crossing the road at night all the time. It didn't seem like anything to get worked up about. Not even a minute later, I feel my truck lurch to the left and into the other lane. I quickly try to swerve and correct it and easily step on the brakes so I don't wreck it. It could be easy to jackknife an 80,000-pound death machine. Slow it down and regain control. I look for the nearest pullover spot so I can see what the hell just hit my rig and see if there's any damage. Once I find the spot and turn off, I hit my brakes and hop out. I walk around to the other side and see a large dent in the side of my trailer. What the hell? I said to myself as I walk over to inspect the side of the trailer. It's a huge dent, 5 feet wide and 5 feet tall. No real shape to it, just a general dent. I can't imagine what could have hit me. My first thought was maybe a boulder rolled down the side of the hill and smashed into me, but I didn't think I was driving next to any hills or mountains that could have done that. As far as I knew, it was flat desert. I hear the sound of dirt crunching under footfall behind me, and I turn around. My breath catches in my throat and my stomach drops as I see something standing not 50 feet away from me. It's large, menacing, and white. I can't even find the words to describe what I saw. It looked like a large dog, but that's a stretch. It stood on 2 short legs, with long forearms reaching down past its knees. Its shoulders were broad and heaving as it just ran a marathon. Its head was mostly shaped like a wolf, with a large snout filled with razor-sharp teeth bared in a snarl, saliva dripping from its maw. Its eyes bore right through me, filled with hatred or hunger or something I couldn't tell. Couldn't move, was frozen in place. This creature stood between me and my only salvation, the truck. We stared at one another, and I broke the silence, and I called it ugly. It snarled at me, and then very unexpectedly it turned and walked slowly away using all 4 of its limbs and receded into the bushes and into the night. I stood there for what felt like several minutes, but it was probably just a few seconds, wondering if it would jump out and feed on me at any moment. It never came back. I ran into the front of my truck and jumped inside, locked the door quickly, and floored it as fast as you can floor an 18-wheeler, which is not at all. Soon I was back on the highway and barreling down as if my life depended on it. For a while, it felt like it did. Within a half an hour, I found myself at the truck stop and shut down for the night. Sleep was difficult. I was certain every noise I heard was that damn creature returning. Luckily, the night went on without another incident. I have more stories to tell, but this is getting long, so I think I'll stop here. Remember, guys, be careful out there on the road. You never know what else is out there with you.
You seen the white dog, didn't you?
Yeah.
That is crazy. Wow. So this thing's powerful enough to dent the trailer.
Yeah, we're back in the Southwest again, right?
You know, back in the Southwest again. Let's note that.
Someone commented on this, and they said that it sounds like something that they had heard a skinwalker being able to do before.
No.
And like, so she described it as like on its hind legs and with really long forearms that went down real far, which once again kind of leans into the skinwalker. Now, this person doesn't know this is a skinwalker, didn't mention that it was, so I didn't really think it was 100% related, but the person who commented on this story did say that they thought it sounded like one.
People are asking what was the noise like.
The noise of the creature?
Yeah, it's like a snarled, you said, right?
She just snarled at her, yeah. Kind of like an animal.
And the first thing she thought of was calling it ugly.
Yeah. I guess at that point you would just say whatever pops into your head the first time. Yeah, if you see something that you can't really explain.
That sounds scary. I think I have some other choice words I'd probably say, but nevertheless. I don't know. That's crazy. I wonder how close it actually was to her. I don't know. There wasn't like the greatest detailed description on that.
She said 50 feet.
She said 50 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty close still, but like still far enough away where you wouldn't get like a perfect view, I guess, of everything at night, right? This is at night. So night, right? Driving in the middle of nowhere.
It was midnight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes when I'm driving down the road at night, I often you look off to the side, you're like, did I see something out there?
Yeah.
But it's crazy because it actually did happen. You know, she thinks she sees stuff all the time, but I think the big bang is that from it hitting her trailer would be terrifying. Then you get out. First thing you got to do is I got to investigate this, right? I got to check this out.
Yeah, especially depending on what she was holding. You know, it's a trailer, so it wasn't like flatbed with like rolled steel or some crap like that. So
you think she's hauling dog food?
Possibly.
I don't know.
She's never mentioned.
That's crazy though. So you get out, you have to check out your truck, right?
Yeah.
And then you come across that. People were saying in the comment in the chat during this, get back in the truck, get back in the truck. But I like how she also brought up that it's not like you could just jump in a semi and take off like a car, right?
Yeah, it's like something that takes a second to get going.
Yeah, you got to power that thing up. You got to go through all that stuff. That's a pretty cool story. All white, she said, right?
Yeah, all white. So not the black dog.
It was standing on its two legs as it was looking at her. She came face to face with it 50 yards away.
Yeah, and then when it went away, it got on all four again.
It's just so weird that it like runs into her vehicle, a trailer, and it just makes its presence known. Then it just walks away into the night.
Yeah. You never know. There's things out there that might have a different idea of what to do, you know?
Yeah, you seen the white dog, didn't you? Somebody say.
Yeah,
I think we got to watch the video now.
Yeah.
Let's compare it.
You saw the dog, didn't you?
What dog?
The black dog.
You mean like the Led Zeppelin song?
No, Cruz knows what I'm talking about, don't you? I've heard truckers talk about it on the yard. They say it comes when you've been on the road too long and pushing too hard. When you get greedy. They say it comes to take everything away from you.
And it did. I was hauling a load up from Atlanta on my 6th straight Georgia run. It was my daughter's birthday, and I thought I could make it home in time. I was on this long, dark stretch of I-75 with nothing to look at but the white line when I saw it. He was in the middle of the road, coming straight at me with his teeth bared and red eyes staring. So I swerved to miss him. And I lost control.
Where do you come up with this shit?
It's for real, Wes.
Yeah? And I bet you've seen UFOs and aliens with big eyes.
No. Just a black dog.
Randy Travis really felt it too, didn't he?
He did. And I feel like every time I watch that clip, I see something I never noticed before or hear something. And like, I never heard the guy say like the Led Zeppelin song before.
Like the Led Zeppelin song?
Yeah. I was like, is that a Led Zeppelin song? I mean, I'm not a big Led Zeppelin fan, so I didn't know. I was looking it up while the video was playing, and I was like, oh, there's a Black Dog song by Led Zeppelin.
Was the Black Dog just jumping out the whole time, or?
I don't know. I didn't really look at the lyrics. But then also like the fiddle that plays while the dog is running up, that goes hard. It's like
yeah, it kind of gets. I think there's two parts that are my favorite, and it did when he says and it did. Then at the end when he's kind of just like looking around and he kind of glances out the window and it ends. But it's like panning back to like Randy Travis, who's just like.
He's like all up in his face.
Yeah, he's like, they're in a semi, which is a very large vehicle, but somehow they're very close.
Yeah, very, very close.
With this guy in between them. Anyways, that's a cool story. So you said okay, so can we confirm that she does? I know you're not going to share anymore, but are there more stories?
She has 4 or 5 more stories with things that she's seen on the road.
I bet people see, I mean, I know people see so much stuff doing that job.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that'll be interesting to hear those too.
I don't know how I'm going to top that. Last story of the night. It's going to be hard to top what we've done so far, but I think we're going to go back to the theme here of the dad thing that we said earlier.
Oh, yes.
So let's do it. DJ, hit that music. By DJ, it's just me trying to find the button. Sound all right?
Yep.
All right. I've titled this Flea Market Kidnapping Attempt. This happened to me when I was about 4 years old, and when I was still living with my family in San Diego, California. It was a summer morning, and it was customary for my family on the weekends. We decided we'd go to the flea market to do some shopping right after we had breakfast at our favorite pancake place. Before I share my account of what happened on this day, I need to make 2 things clear. First one is that I'm a female, and even though I'm Caucasian, having very curly black hair, which often make people think I'm Hispanic or perhaps biracial. And secondly, there were 2 things that always, and I mean always, made my father distracted whenever we'd go out. Women and tools. Now, on the day in discussion, my father was looking for some specific tool he needed to work on a project for a client. My heavily pregnant mother had decided it was time to buy the last item she needed for the baby because she could go into emergency labor any moment. To save time, my mother and my 8-year-old brother stayed behind to check out the baby stuff in one of the aisles closest to the food court, which is right in the middle of the place. This left me in the care of my father. My father took me with him to check the tool stand that was located on the opposite end of the row. As expected, and despite my mother warning him several times that morning not to let go of my hand, as he'd done the previous week when I got lost inside a department store because he got distracted. As we were approaching the area where the tools were, he let go of my hand as soon as a young lady asked him if she could help him with anything. He pointed out to a toolbox that had caught his eye and went around the table as she offered to open it up so he could check out the tools inside. Well, I felt bored just standing there. I turned around to see if my mother was still checking the baby items, thinking perhaps I could go with her instead of staying here with my father looking at all this boring stuff. I couldn't see her or my brother anywhere, though, so I stood in that same spot. I was told the week before to stay put, so it'd be easier to find me if my father lost track of me again. As more and more time dragged on without my father checking up on me, I soon realized he probably was not going to come back. I looked around, but he was nowhere to be seen. The young lady who had helped him before was still there, but now she was talking to another customer, not him. Still, though, I waited for a bit longer, thinking perhaps he'd just gone to the nearby aisle to check out any of the other tools kept around there. I was feeling increasingly scared at this point, so I took a few steps into the aisle and called out for my father. He did not reply, so it seemed he wasn't there anymore. At this point, the only thing I could assume was he'd forgotten all about me again and left me behind. I walked back to the area where my mother and brother had been, but they were no longer there either. I began to wander around looking for anybody, but I couldn't see them in any of the aisles I passed through and by. To make things even worse, that day the market was absolutely packed, so it was hard to see anything being a little kid with all the adults towering above me. To this day, I don't know how I managed to stay calm and find my way to the side entrance where my father had parked the car. Before I continue with the story, I'll say that even though I'm a girl, my parents often dressed me in clothes that no longer fit my older brother. We were kind of poor, and it was cheaper to have their daughter just wear their eldest son's clothes instead of getting new one. That day, I was wearing some denim overalls, a white t-shirt with yellow lines on the sleeves, and a pair of brown Oxfords. Due to my hair being curly, unkempt, and short, I was often mistaken for a boy. I was waiting by the entrance watching the people that were leaving when a Hispanic woman in her 30s or 40s made a beeline straight towards me. She began to act overly dramatic, calling to me in this annoying, sweet voice. She tried to pull me into her arms and kiss me a couple of times on the forehead, but I turned away and clung to a metal pole that was behind me. I've never really been a people person, so touchy-feely people always make me feel uneasy. Another thing that worth mentioning is that whenever I feel scared or threatened, I immediately go into fight mode. Of course, at that moment, I was feeling extremely scared by this woman's antics. I began to slap and push her away from me and scream, telling her, "Don't touch me." She started trying to pick me up. People stopped and stared, but did nothing to help stop her or help me. She turned to them and told them in broken English. Basically, she told them that I was just throwing a fit or something along those lines. Apparently, hearing that was enough for everybody to just keep on walking by. At this point, I was sure no one would take the time to help me, which made me think I had to get out of this on my own. When I began to act more aggressive, screaming louder, trying to get any attention, the woman then yanked me from the pole so hard my arms let go. She tried to pull me towards a parking lot. This is when I began to bite and kick while screaming for my mother and father as loudly as I could. This is when an elderly couple rushed up to me. The elderly woman said, "Darling, are you all right? What's the matter?" I told the couple that this woman was not my mother and she wanted to take me somewhere I did not want to go. The old man picked me up as the old lady left to call security. The woman kept trying to pull me by my clothes and legs, but the man was much stronger than her. Two younger men finally walked over and restrained the woman. I remember the old man wearing a cap with an eagle and flags on it. I asked him what they meant. He began to tell me about it to distract me while ignoring that crazy woman who was still screaming after me like a banshee. He was telling me all about the medals he received during the war. Suddenly, I heard my mother calling out to me. Almost out of breath, I saw her rushing over to us, dragging my older brother along. The elderly man put me down and explained the entire situation to her. It took my father even longer to show up, popping up out of nowhere, white as a ghost when he saw the police talking to my mother and the elderly couple. My mother was, of course, furious and gave him quite an earful for being an irresponsible shithead. Yet again, yeah. Like he was before. Okay, I see now. My parents thanked the couple and the officers for their help, and We left the flea market immediately. While leaving, I saw the crazy Hispanic woman was being put into a patrol car and taken into custody. I'm not sure what happened to her after that. I later found out the elderly couple's last name was Ralph. I don't know how things would have ended if they decided to walk on by and not help me.
Wow. Like you said, another Father of the Year award here.
Yeah.
That's so messed up.
I don't know. I have like 3 daughters, right? So I'm immediately thinking like, who does that? I mean, it can easily happen, right? But like to do it week after week, it's like you're going to hell, dude.
Louise. Yeah, that's rough. And that's also like one of those really real scary things that could happen. We don't know what was going on with this person. You know, there are any number of horrible things that could be happening besides simple like dementia. We don't know. Dementia, this was a slightly older Hispanic woman.
30s or 40s. You know, the person was 4 when this happened. So, you know, I don't know what how detailed their memory is, but she did identify the elderly couple that helped her. So I guess they weren't quite that old. The person wasn't quite that old.
Yeah, it's true. So, you know, there are any number of things that could have been going on there, and all of them horrible. And so, yeah, that's messed up. I'm not gonna lie. Before I realized the gravity of the situation that this story was going to be, I laughed at first when you said that, you know, it was going to be, it was talking about a flea market and, you know, being abducted at a flea market because you told us about your flea market experiences. I was like, is this story about you?
Oh, the Coy Creek place?
Yeah.
You talking about Coy Creek?
Yeah.
Legend.
But then when you started reading this off, I was like, oh my God, this is terrible.
This did not happen to me, no.
And this guy is the father. God, I'm not sure which one is worse, this one or the camping one, in terms of
they're both bad.
Neglectful parent.
I know. Is it worse to leave your kid all alone with nobody around, or to leave with a bunch of people around? You know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how this is worded here that got me. Gosh, where is this part? I actually love this part here. Said there were 2 things that always, and when I mean always, made my father distracted whenever we'd go out: women and tools.
Yeah, that's rough. It's rough to know that at a younger age too. Those 2 things would distract your dad. Yeah, that's really messed up.
So we've all been to flea markets, and the one that you referenced, our flea market, was outside. This seemed to be like an inside one.
Yeah,
we've all been to those, like the big inside area where they have different aisles and stands and stuff. So that's what I'm picturing in my head, which when you're a little kid that little with a bunch of tall adults around, I can definitely see where it would be. You'd get lost easily, especially if a parent wasn't there guiding you. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've been to a few indoor flea markets that are really kind of mazes unto themselves. You really won't know where you are especially if you're shorter. Yeah, so I could definitely see that being pretty terrifying.
Do you think her intent was the kidnapper?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, it seemed like she was definitely trying to make it seem like that she was a parent or possibly grandparent.
Yeah.
And then she was, going to take her God knows what for.
We've all been in a store when you see a kid throwing a fit, right? And this really makes you think twice about how you handle it.
Yeah, it does.
Because I know what she's talking about. Like the lady just brushed it off, right? Like, oh, she's just throwing a fit, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And people kept walking by.
Yeah. It's always hard to say, right? You never know. Like I was talking about the other day, you walk past like several murderers in your lifespan. And so you will walk past people capable of horrible things and not realize it. And it's truly terrifying.
Yeah, let's see what people said here. The dads of this episode. Somebody else said they respected the father. I don't know when they said that, but several minutes later, then they said, Okay, well, I do not respect the father. So maybe it was the tools that they went along with. I don't know.
Yeah, probably the tools.
Yeah, scariest thing in the world aren't ghosts or goblins, it's other humans. Yeah, I'm with you. And I think very detailed thing. I think the thing that sticks out to me is you could tell this definitely traumatized them.
Yeah.
Like long lasting effect on them. Which I mean, I get it. It would be on me too.
Would be, yeah. It's something that would definitely stick with you the rest of your life. It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we had some good stories tonight. Let's do this. We'll show a short clip. We'll come back and we'll pick what our favorite story of the night was.
Sounds good.
Find the clip here. Where are you?
Susan Sarandon. Oh, thank God. We have to stop the ceremony. Kim Jong-il is mad. Here, let me loose. I'll show you where the theater is.
All right.
No, Chris, stay away from her.
F you, she wants to help us.
No, Chris. She's acting. I am not. The others tied me up because I wouldn't go along with their plans. Your skills are fading with age, Miss Sarandon.
You shall die a peasant's death!
Jesus f***ing Christ, I could have sworn she was telling the truth. That's why they call it acting.
Was not the clip I was expecting. I'm not going.
I had to change it up on you tonight.
Yeah. Oh,
You're expecting
man.
Tom Petty or something. I couldn't have that.
Yeah. I love that movie though.
Yeah, it's good. Do you like how I blurted it out too?
Yeah.
Obviously, I edited out all the violence.
Yeah.
But it got the point in there that needed to be known.
Yeah.
He was so against Gary in that movie, wasn't he?
Yeah. He hated Gary for the longest time.
He finally won him over.
He did have a reason. A horrible reason.
He did have a terrible, yeah, he had a very valid reason not like actors. Well, Luke, these were not acting tonight. Which one takes home the gold for you? Not even, I don't want to say scariest, just your favorite for whatever
Favorite story. It's got to be that Kodiak Bear, man.
So you're going with our boy Gene Moe.
Gene Moe is like, oh Lord, that's the story of the century.
You imagine Gene Moe would have got a hold of a lady at the flea market?
He would have messed her up.
Yeah, if he would have been one of the elderly couple that saved the kid, that'd have been crazy. Or if he would have got a hold of the Skinwalker.
He could take a Skinwalker.
If you could take a 1,400-pound bear,
you could take a Skinwalker. Yeah,
you could take anything.
I would put him up against almost every like major creature in horror. Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about death claws a lot on here. He'd take a death claw for sure.
He could take it. If he had prep time, he could definitely take it.
Let us know, to you listening out there live, what your favorite of the night was. I'm gonna it's a tough one for me. It's got to be Gene Moe and the Kodiak Bear, but I like the theme tonight. So what your first one was about the
campsite where there was someone in the tent.
Your next one was about the Skinwalker.
Yeah.
I think the Skinwalker was up there for me too. The bear takes home Gene Moe takes home the thing with the bear, but the Skinwalker one was definitely good. I think the reason I'm excited about that is because you have more stories we can dive into deeper on that. I'm sure I could find more like Gene Moe like stories out there in the world, but it's got to be hard to top that. So I think Skinwalker wise, you got some longevity there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. That was also probably would have been my second pick too, because I really like that story.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of legs. People are saying good story. See you next week. Thanks for stopping by. Gene Moe battle. Yeah. Gene took care of business. I think he took care of business. Yeah. That's inspirational.
I kind of want to stat Gene Moe in Dungeons and Dragons or something like that.
Yeah.
Evidently, fear is not a factor for you.
Fear is never a factor, Joe Rogan.
Fear is definitely not a factor for Gene.
No, it can't be. You don't have time to be afraid when a Kodiak Bear is coming after you.
No.
1,400-pound, 10-foot tall Kodiak Bear. Gene Moe, you took home the story.
Feel like need Jeffrey Lawler needs to announce that fight.
Oh, Jerry Lawler? Yeah,
Jerry
that'd be
Lawler.
awesome. The King. All right, guys. Yeah, this has been an amazing episode. Some fun stories. Another great show tonight, Luke. I
Yep.
thank you as always. We'll be back next Monday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for some more stories. But until then, clips are getting dropped every day on YouTube. On my YouTube page. You just search Your Scary Stories or go to mine, Jeff Townsend Media, Podcast Father. YourScaryStories.com houses everything. Get us some submissions. We want to share your scary stories, what happened to you. Luke, what else you got?
I don't really have much else, but I'm really happy with the way this one went. I can't wait for next week. 'Cause I got a few already queued up for next week, a couple of them anyway.
You're ready.
Oh yeah, I found a bunch the past couple of days, and so like I've got some that I'm really excited about reading.
Well, I'm excited too, and we'll be back at it again next week. Until then, though, make sure you keep being you and keep being great.
Jeff Townsend Media. CG, good night.
And the question is, do I stay here? Will you be back? Are you gonna come back? Will you be back? Are you coming back?